Okay, so now let's start the session. One second, I'm just opening my browser also. Okay, so now the topic is for the first thing which you'll see is types in Java. Okay. Types in Java. So, guys, like when I'm talking about types, okay, so types in Java. Now, generally, there are two types in Java. Okay, so when I'm talking about type, something like a data type. Okay, what are those? Like generally, we categorize the types in two types. The first type is primitive type. Primitive type. Okay, and the second one is actually known as reference type. A reference type. So first one is primitive type and second one is reference type. So when I'm talking about primitive type, so what are those types? These types are something like this. When you used to declare the variable something like this, int x equals to 10. Okay. So these are our data type. You already know that int, boolean, short, and all these kind of thing. When I'm saying that double y equals to 3.57 or something. So this is something like a primitive type. So also we have Boolean, float, all these are actually comes under whatever you have done, whatever you have learned in the past. So those are actually comes under primitive. Okay. Now, if I go down like below this reference type, in reference type, there are two types. Okay. The first one is the class type. And the second one is the like of array type. Okay. Now you know that like when I'm talking about class type, so in class type, what we have is so okay. So in class type, what we have is like suppose you know that like there is a string class. Whenever you used to create the like a variable of a string, so that is actually coming from string class. The another one is like there is also you can create a circle class. You can like suppose you have created a circle class which is having a variable radius r, and inside that you can create the like area of circle and anything. So these are something nice, like you can create your own classes, you know that no? Class and creating objects. So this is something like a type. So here whenever you used to create a class, so just say in previous session you know that when we create the class circle, and inside that we were actually declared the variable int r or something, and you're writing the code. So here you can say that like circle is my data type. Circle is my data type. And when you are creating the object of it, circle C, okay. And when you are writing new circle, so it's something what is happening. So here you can see that this is the object. So here we can also say that like when you are writing this, so this is the object of this class. So we can say that this is the data type. It is like same way when we used to write in text. So this is the data type. This is not a class here, but in this one, this is actually data type of type X. But here in this one, this is a class and they see. So this is the data type for this. And this is the object of it. So similarly, here I'm saying that there are two types in Java, that primitive and reference. In reference, we have class type, string, circle. And now another we have like when I'm talking about arrays, so arrays is something like int array, string array, boolean array. So you know that now you can create different kind of arrays. You can also create 2D arrays, but 2D arrays we haven't learned yet, but that topic will come in this week. Okay, there we will be learning 2D arrays, but you can create different kind of arrays, int array, string array, char array. Okay, so this is actually of a arrays type. So now this is the categorization basically which used to happen like in Java when we used to types. So types are categorized like one is the primitive set, another one is the class type, and another one is arrays type. Now generally we used to say that like Java has two kind of types, primitive and reference type. Now, if we say that like primitive, when I'm talking about the primitive type, let's talk about the primitive type. So primitive types are the basic types. Okay. Here you can store basic type of data. Here you can store basic type of data. Now, basic type of data like byte, short, int, double, long, float. Like there are a lot of data type like where you can store your values. Here in this one, what you can do is these are not objects. In these type, you can directly store the values. Like suppose int x equal to 10. You don't need to do anything. You just need to write in this way. And it will directly store your data. Okay. Now, you know that like if I give you an example, basically whenever you suppose you are building a building, suppose you are you can say that आपको एक you need to you're working on uh, creating a three floor structure. Okay, three floor structure. So you know that like when you are creating that building, at that point, what is the raw material? So what is the building block of that raw material? So that will be bricks. Okay, there will be bricks and all this thing. So this is a singular unit. Like in this, using this unit, you can create a whole building. So that's why that what primitive types are. Okay, so that is the building block through which you can create the whole thing. Now, if I give you an example, so you already know that, right? One second. Now, if I create a replit, so you can see that like Java, and in this one, I can say that inbuilt. And here I will create the. Now, if I just remove this, and you know that like if I want to create the primitive types, then how actually it look like. So suppose if I'm saying int age equals to 30. Okay. So this is the one kind of data. Now another one is when I'm saying that double temperature. This is another kind of data 36.5. Okay. When I'm saying that char grade, that is another type of data A. And when I'm saying that boolean is raining, so if suppose it is raining, so I can say that like if it is not, saying that false. So here you can see that all these are primitive types. So that is the main thing. Now let's come to the reference type. Okay, so this is known as primitive type. Now I'm coming to the reference type. ठीक है. So basically reference type is something. Reference type, it also contains the data, but it is something when I'm talking about reference type now. So what it is referring is, it is referring to an address. It is referring to an address where a lot of information is actually stored, where a lot of information is actually stored. Okay. देखो, like what you can do is like suppose your elder brother or sister, and like suppose you want to give a gift to your parent or your friend. Okay, so one kind of gift which you can do is, what one kind of gift which you can do is, you can directly buy something for them. Like you can buy a pen, you can buy a notebook or something, anything, and you are directly giving to them. That is known as primitive types. But when we are talking about the reference type, what it means is you are giving an address to them. Okay, you are giving an address to them. Suppose you have stored something special for them. Okay, now what you have done is you have given the that address to them, and now what they will do is they will follow the address, and in that address they will find lot of things. Okay, it will not be a one gift. Actually, it will be a lot of. So you can see that like in reference type, what we used to do is we used to store the reference. And in that reference, we used to tell that, okay, like there are a lot of information is actually stored. For example, when you print an array, you already know that whenever you use to print an array or a string, you know that. Like whenever suppose you are printing in string, suppose if I'm creating a string s equals to new string, something like this. Okay. So even if I'm writing like string hello, अभी इसके केस में तो like it will get printed directly, but like I need to take an example of another thing. जैसे मुझे किसी ऑब्जेक्ट का लेना पड़ेगा, अभी मैं एरे भी प्रिंट करूंगा ना, तो इन दैट केस सपोज इंट, नाउ इफ आई प्रिंट इट system dot out dot println, let's see what is the output it will get. It is giving me an address. Okay, can you see that? This is giving me a reference. It is saying that if you want to find all the values, just go to this reference, and in this reference, you will find all the information. Okay, so this is something known as reference types. इनको कहते हैं reference type. Basically, the data will be there, but data will be present at some address, and I'm actually providing you the address of this. And there will be a lot of concepts which actually comes under references, classes. Okay, and there are few concepts which I'm telling you, but you will be learning it not in this course but later in future. Okay, when you will be in unit 4, unit 5, when you will be learning the advanced Java, there are some concepts which is known as interfaces. Okay, like also enums and all. Now, when I'm talking about it, what it does is when I'm talking about reference type, it actually store addresses. Store addresses. Okay. Now you can ask me this thing. Suppose if I give you an example for that. I'm giving you the example for this problem one.java. How actually reference type look like. So if I copy this and if I paste it here, now let's do one thing. Here what I'll do, here I'll write string name equals to Alice. Okay, so string is also a class. So you can see that like here when I was creating this thing, so you can see that string is also a class. Okay, string is not a matlab that kind of a primitive data type. So string is actually a class. In this one, when you are storing something, so it is actually giving me the output. Even when you do the printing, if you print this name, yeah, this will give you the value Alice actually. Okay, but I will tell you, but initially inside name, it is actually storing the reference. Okay, and in case of string, what used to happen is कि जब आप उसको print करते हो, it actually give you the value, but like in backend, it actually storing the addresses of it. Now the another one is we have something known as wrapper clusters. So suppose if I am writing integer, okay, so this is not the same integer when I'm talking about it. This is a primitive type. But what happened? Java developer has actually created few classes for you. The next topic which we will be seeing after this one is wrapper classes only. Okay, but यहाँ पे I'm just showing you the example. Okay, so don't worry about it. So here if I'm creating an integer one, so this is actually created, this is a separate class which is known as wrapper class. And here you can see that I'm writing an integer and I can write an integer object here, integer x. So this is actually an object of this class, and in this integer you can store any value. Okay, you can store any value. Like you can also store 10, 11, 12, but there is a way like how you can do it. So the way is integer dot value of, and here I'm writing 10. So now you can see that like what I'm doing is I'm storing 10 value inside this x value. Okay, later you will understand that wrapper classes बनाई क्यों गई थी. There is a point, okay, why we actually created it. And like you can also ask me now, I can also do directly in this way. Okay, why you are doing in that way? Okay, we can also store the integer using our primitive type also. But why they have actually created the separate classes? So I'll explain you that in the next part, because when we will cover the refer class. So this is the class and this is the object of it. Now, if I go to the next one, the next one is array list. So this is the another class. which developers have created for us. Okay, string. Okay, and here if I'm saying that names equals to new array list, and here you can see that. So this is something like another data type which I have actually used it. This is the another class which is known as array list class. Okay, this is the array list class and this is the object of it. That will also cover later in the session. But the main point here I'm showing you, these are actually are the reference types. Okay, if you directly print these names, it will not give you the value inside it. It will give you the object कि वो रखा कहाँ गया है. Okay, and in that object, like after that, what you can do, you can access the value inside it. So there is a way how we can do it. Now you can ask me this question, but why? ऐसा किया ही क्यों? Why we have done this? Why we categorize the data in these two categories? Okay, why we have done this thing actually in these two categories? So when I'm talking about देखो, point here is you already know that कि suppose you know that like if I give you an example, you know that like suppose you want to cut an onion. Okay, so you can use simple knife. Okay, simple knife to cut the onion. So that is a simple thing. That is a simple primitive type. Okay, simple primitive type to handle that. But later what happened, developer realized that sometimes we need to store the information in actually a lot of complicated way. Okay, sometimes your requirement will be different. So you know that what happened, there are people who you know that like have you seen that like there is an automatic chopper machine, something like which can cut an onion. I think you have seen that there are a lot of advertisement used to happen like on TV and somewhere. So you will see that like there are kind of automatically machines. So they have created this thing, na? So you can also use a knife and you can also use that complicated machine which they have created. So that is something like these are the data structure which they created. The developers has created because they know that like you know that like when you will be working on real world application, you like your job is like cannot be fulfilled only by these data types int char. इससे कितना स्टोर कर लोगे आप integer एक integer में in one integer you can only store one value, in one character you can only one store value. You know that you might be needing arrays in the future. Okay, you might be needing arrays in the future, string arrays in the future, because you will be storing a lot of data na? So that's why they have created these kind of data structure for you, so that like when you are working for large set of data, then directly use that. Don't go with the like ये छोटे छोटे data इनसे जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. Getting it? So that is another thing. So if I give you an, so that is the main thing. And if I'm talking about the primitive type, if I'm talking about the primitive type, so the best advantage of primitive types are these are very efficient and high speed, like very efficient, like you know that very easy to use. And the second thing is like they are very fast. They are very fast. Okay, the speed is very fast. So matlab you can say that like highly efficient and highly speed. Matlab they have a high speed, like in terms of performance. But when I'm talking about the reference types, when I'm talking about the reference type, so it is actually created for doing more complex operation. Suppose when you want to do more complex operation, for that, these reference type are actually created. Okay, so you can like you will be having some complex data structure. So these are known as data structure. Data structure basically means you know that like suppose you went to a like a shopping mall and suppose you want to buy a shampoo. You want to buy a single shampoo. And now in the shopping mall, in the store, they are actually giving you different option: a single basket, a big size basket, or a trolley. Okay, and suppose you want to buy only one shampoo. Now tell me which one you will pick. Like you can say a small one basket, the bigger one, or the trolley. Okay, suppose if you are saying that I will take a trolley, like can you imagine that like you are roaming around in a store just with one trolley putting one shampoo, everyone will laugh. Okay, because that is not a choice which you are making. That is not a wise choice which you are making. Okay, and now you will say that I don't need anyone. Okay, my hands are enough just to pick one shampoo. So in your case, you are actually making a choice between these like in these different baskets. That is known as data structure. इसको data structure कहते हैं कि basically which choice you are making to handle and how you made that choice that I don't need anything. Your hands are enough because That is common sense. Okay. Similarly, when you used to work in programming, when you will be working on product and all, so there you need to make that decision like which data structure suits my requirement. And accordingly, you need to use that. Okay, so there are a lot of data structure that we will learn later. Today in the session, we will see the array list, and in the tomorrow session, we will see the another data structure that is hash map. But that's why I'm giving you this example. So that is the main thing. Now let's see how both of these things are actually stored in the memory. ठीक है अब इसको एक बार समझते हैं how both of these things are actually stored in the memory. Now suppose if I am creating a class in front of you, class animal, okay, and here I am creating a class, and if I write, just say for example, I'll do it here. Okay, from this you will understand it. Problem 2 dot Java. Okay, instead of giving, I'll rename it. I'm giving it the name animal. Okay, animal.java. Now here you can see that I created this class. Now here I'm writing class animal, and in this class animal, what I'll do is I will write int id. Okay, and here I'm giving this id, and here I also create a constructor, and this constructor, what it will do, whatever value you will give. So basically here what I want is when you will be calling the object of this one, so what it will do, it will insert the ID. So here I'm writing this dot ID equal to ID. Okay, fine. So this thing you have already learned in the previous session. Now if I come to this part, and you can see that if I copy this public static void main, and I'm coming to this animal class. Now here what I'll do is I'll paste it here. Now you can see that this is my class animal, and this is the constructor. This is the class. Basically, what I'm doing here is I'm just calling a constructor. Now in this one, what I will do is I will create the object of animal. So I am saying that animal, and the first object is I'm saying that dog. Okay, dog equals to new animal. Dog equal to new animal. Okay, now this is the first animal which I've created. Now I'm creating the another one, and here I'm giving the ID. Suppose I'm giving the ID 12. So what will happen automatically when the dog object will get created, this ID will go here, and the dog will be having an ID 12. Now similarly, when I'm writing cat, okay, when I'm writing cat, so cat will be something like this, new animal, and here it will be having different value 16. Okay, now let's try to understand how the values are actually getting stored in the memory. Okay, so पहली बात जो मैं आपको समझाना चाहता हूँ, the first thing which I want to explain you here is, ladies and gentlemen, so basically the first thing which you need to understand is कि when I'm talking about primitive type actually stored in stack. Okay, and when I'm talking about non-primitive type, so it actually stored in, there is another memory which is known as heap. Abhi isko rat lo. Okay, so when I'm talking about primitive type like int x, char b, like anything, whatever you're doing, that actually stored in stack. And when you are storing non-primitive type like objects, which used to store only references, only addresses, that is known as we use for that heap. Now let's see how stacks and heap are actually look like. So I'm creating here one stack. So it is stack. This is the stack memory. This is the stack memory. Okay. And there are 3 columns here. In this 3 column, let's see what will happen. So this is my stack. And now here I'm writing location. And here I'm writing value. And here I'm writing variable name. So this is actually containing the value variable name. And in memory, just imagine that in memory, there are some memories. I'm giving those memories name as A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, these are the locations of the memory. जैसे आपकी रैम होती है ना, उस हर में उसमें locations होती हैं. So here I'm actually telling that this is the A location, this is B location, and this is something like this. Now here I'm creating the heap. Here I'm creating the heap. So this is my heap. Now in this heap, there will be 2 things: location, And you know that, like, always remember that heap always store references like objects. Heap सिर्फ object store करता है and nothing. So now here I'm giving these locations some name. So these are some locations in heap: 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F. Okay, guys, like, just put your whole concentration here. Okay, I won't be able to repeat it again. Why? Because you know that, like, there are a lot of things which we need to cover. Okay, and even if you get confused with this later after this session, you can just watch this part. Okay, that will be get cleared. So I will just explaining it once. So isliye, and but the things are very easy. Now remember one thing, like here this is known as stack and this is known as heap. And I told you, in stack we use primitive types, and heap we use to store reference types. Now let's see if I'm writing a code here. Now I wrote a code here. Imagine that, suppose if I'm writing here int I equal to 5. When you are writing int I equal to 5 at this point, then what will happen when this your code, so you know that this is the, this, what is this type? Is it a primitive or it is a reference type? Tell me, is it is a primitive or reference? Primitive. If it is a primitive, then where it will store, stack or heap? If it is a primitive, definitely it will store in stack. Now, when I'm writing int I equal to 5, then what will happen? Automatically in my memory, it will say that, okay, y variable I is declared having a value 5. Okay. Automatically, it is happening in the background. How it is happening in the memory? Because it is in the stack. Now, suppose you created another variable. You're saying that int j equal to 6. So automatically what it will do? It will say that, okay, j value 6. This is the variable name. This is the value 6. Now, later you can see that here what I'm doing is we are also creating these variables, values. Okay. Now, what will happen? You can see that, like, this is the reference type, but this is the data type and this is the value. Okay. So in this case, what will happen? In this case, you can see that, like, this is the class type and this is the object. And now you know that, like, this is a variable which is known as new. New is telling to the, what is the meaning of new? What did is, new is a keyword which helps in telling that I want a memory. Okay, please give me the memory. When you are writing only this, okay, जब तक आप सिर्फ इतना लिखते हो, when you are writing only this part, then there is no memories allocated to this point. At this point, no memories actually got allocated. Okay, no memory is allocated. It's something like the object is created, but the object doesn't have any memory. Okay, the object has doesn't any memory. For example, suppose you want to buy a house. You are buying a house from someone else. Okay, and they have given the papers to you. They have given the papers to you, but they're saying that, okay, I'm giving the papers to you, but the problem here is you can only access the house after 1 week, because those people who are staying in that house right now, they will be leaving after 1 week. So now can you imagine that you have the papers but you cannot access the house? Getting it? But when I'm saying that, if I'm using equal to new, that means now you have the control, complete access of the house. Now you can also like enter in that house. You have the papers also, and you can also enter into the house. So this is the meaning of new. So new actually provides you the memory. So new actually helps in providing this, like, to create your variable, to create the constructor, to declare your variable and everything. Okay, so this is my object which actually got created. So this is my memory. So now imagine that when you will get the space. So imagine that. So this animal 12 will actually got stored in this place. Animal 12. This animal 12, like, because you are asking the space for this one, na? So this thing will get stored your all information, like your variable value, like, you know that, like, in this case, the ID value is 12. In this case, the ID value is 16. So for this case, your all the details, all your information, all the constructor values, you know that, like, in the previous session, we were creating the class rectangle. In the rectangle class, we were storing length and breadth. Okay. So where your all information will get stored, that all information will get stored in the heap. Okay. And at which address? You can see that 1A address. But remember one thing. So we know that our my all information is actually stored in that one. Okay. Now what about the animal dog? So now dog variable will get created. Dog animal फिर भी create होगा. But in where? So dog variable will get created in the stack. But what is the value of this dog? What is the value of this dog? That will be 1A. So this is the reference of it. Getting it? Your actual data is actually stored in the heap, but you have only the reference. The one example, one live example which I want to give you is, suppose you have a papers. ठीक है, आपके पास कुछ papers हैं. Okay, your property papers. And now suppose you are going into bank and you are storing into the lockup. And the bank is actually giving you a token and something like that. कि okay, whenever you will come to the bank, we will see that token and we will give you the access of that locker. So that means आपका सारा सोना खजाना कहाँ छुपा हुआ है, कहाँ रखा हुआ है? Where your all the properties actually put? It's in the locker, na? Right? Am I right? It's in the locker, right? It's in the locker, but right now locker is it like is not with you. You only have the token and you only have this thing. So that is something like stack is storing. Now, similarly, when I'm writing cat having information, cat has information animal 16. So that will get stored here. So you can see that suppose anywhere you can put animal 16. And what is the address? The address is 1C. So you can see that like your cat will get created here and it will be storing 1C. So 1C. So that's why, that is the reason why when I was printing the array, इसी का रीजन ये है कि when I was printing the array, why I was getting this thing, because it is telling me that I am giving you the address value from the stack. Okay, and if you want to access the value, then you need to go to heap. Okay, so that's why that is the main fundamental, that's why you unable to do it. So I think you able to understand this thing, like what is the difference between primitive and reference type and how it actually works. Okay, now let's come to the next part, which is known as documentation. Let's come to the next part, documentation. Okay, अभी हम पहले हम समझते हैं documentation के बारे में. What is documentation? So guys, first of all, imagine that, like imagine that I'm giving you one example. Like suppose you know that, suppose you want to make a macaroni, okay, and suppose you want to make a pasta or anything. You know that like there are, if you are like there are many sauces available in the market. Okay, tomato sauce, and what are other sauces? I forgot. Can you suggest me something? What are the other sauces which used to exist? Chili sauce, okay. Ketchup, peri peri, soya, okay, nice. Okay, got it. So basically, peri peri, soya, like as you said, mustard. Okay, so like mustard sauce exists. Okay, ठीक है. Pizza sauce, and there are different kinds of sauce are there. Now, if you are not buying the sauce, that means you need to create your own sauce. Okay, if you are not buying that, suppose you want to make the pasta, then you will be need a particular kind of sauce. And if you don't have that kind sauce, that means you need to make that sauce. So basically what happened in Java, there are something known as in documentation. Whenever your Java language actually created, so what happened, like in document, so what is actually a documentation? So guys, जभी भी whenever a new language is actually got created, new language framework or anything, so the developers of those language, they used to create a documentation. Why? Because these language will be used by the like public, like those people. Suppose you are like using this language, na Java. There are also another language, Python, Go, and lot of. But you know that you need a manual to understand that okay, how to use this language. It is very similar like when you buy a washing machine. Because when you buy a washing machine, with that you used to get a manual, how to use it. Okay. Suppose you bought a television. So they will also give you this kind of manual. With every, you know that with every electronics item, you used to get a manual. Similarly, with every software, you used to get a manual how to use it. Similarly, whenever a programming language build or any framework, anything, so the developers who created that thing, so they used to create a documentation with that, so that anyone can use it, like anyone can understand that language, anyone can use it very effectively. And remember one thing, whenever a new update comes, it will first get updated on the documentation. then you know that your developers जो आपके YouTube में हैं, those developers they used to create a video, oh, guys, like these are the update which came. But remember one thing, the first update used to get registered in the documentation first. And after that, people used to publish books on that. People used to write blogs on that. Okay. But the first update will be in documentation. So you need to make this habit if you are a developer. If you are actually a developer, you need to make that habit of reading the documentation and understanding it. Okay. And and if you are saying that W3 schools, okay, we can also use W3 schools. W3 schools is not a documentation. It is just a reference guide where you can see that, okay, what other functions are doing. And remember one thing, am I audible? Okay. So remember one thing, W3 schools is for kids. Okay. And you are a developer. So don't just go into the blogs and all this. So MDN is a standard documentation for, I think, JavaScript. So similarly, we have something known as Java. We have known as Java document, which is actually maintained by Oracle. So if you just search on Google, Java docs or something, here I've written the maths. So it will take you to this one, docs.oracle.com. So Oracle is like a company which actually maintained and we developed this language. And now you can see that this is something like they have mentioned the class name. So they created different classes for you. And for that, in that class, they have also created multiple methods inside it, like finding absolute, finding SN, or like sign function. Okay, so there are a lot of functions which they have created for you, which you need to use. Like, and sometimes what will happen, it is very difficult to remember the whole documentation. But every time, whenever you will get stuck and whenever you will be requiring any particular kind of function, then in that case, you need to Google it. Then you need to Google it with the Java docs. And let's see how the functions are actually written there. So suppose if I am saying that like there are some function sqrt. So you can see that like there is a sqrt function which returns the, here it is also mentioning that it returns the correctly rounded positive square root of a double value. Okay, so this is actually returning a double value. This is a square root function. It will take one parameter of double, and based on that it will give you the output. Now you can see that like it is actually describing in details also. And like if the argument is this, then it will return this. If the argument is positive, then it will return this. If the argument is zero, then it will return this. So you can see that like these are the parameter value and these are return. So these are the two important things, like the parameters and the returning value, what it will return. So this is something like that. Now what I'll do is I'll just show you. I'm using this function problem 2.java. Now here in this one, what I'll do, I'll copy this code and paste it here. Now, if I just remove everything, now suppose if I want to find the square root of something. So I'm creating a variable double number equals to 25. Okay. Now here, if I want to find the square root of it, so what I'll do, I will write square root. So this is my variable name. And here I will use the function, that inbuilt function. I want to use this function. I want to use this sqrt function. Then how will I use it? So if you want to use the sqrt function, then you need to first write the name of the class. Math is the name of the class, dot. Using the class name, what you are doing is you are want to access that function, sqrt. So basically, this is actually defined, everything is actually defined inside the math class. So this is known as the math class. Math.sqrt, and you already know that in the sqrt, what they have mentioned. So you can see that it is saying that I will be taking a double parameter. So here, this is the double number, and here I'll putting the double value here. And if I enter it, now here I can print this value. Print ln. Okay, now let's see the square root value. So basically, if I copy this and if I paste it here, then if I run it, then what will happen? Java problem to.java. Now you know that like this will get printed. I will get my answer like what is the square root of this one. So similarly, you have lot of functions. So this is actually present inside math library. Similarly, we have different classes actually created inside this Java docs. Okay. So if I just write this one, using this, like it will be very difficult because if I'm writing directly Java, so it actually define giving me different things. ये रैसे तो मैं भी खो जाऊंगा. I'll tell you, like if you are actually finding for any particular thing, suppose if you are finding for Java docs for array list, so just mention array list. Now you will get all the functions for array list, okay, inside this one. So we will understand that what are array list. So these are the functions. These are actually, this is the class which is created by like provided by Java. Now I want to show you one more thing. Ki suppose if like I want creating an array, int array, and this array is numbers. This is the numbers array. And in this number array, I'm putting some element here. 1, 5. So here if I write 5, 9, comma 5. Now suppose you can see that like this is my array. Okay. Now if I just print my array, then what will happen? Like I'll get my all my numbers. So if I'm saying that int, okay, I colon numbers, so I'm using the enhanced loop. And if I print system dot out dot print ln, and if I print I only, then I'll get my output. I'll get my output 31495. So now if I just want to see the function of arrays, so let's see what all functions are actually exist here. So you can use like these different functions. So there are a lot of. इसमें ना I want to use some on one particular function that is known as sort one. Okay, so you can see that there is one function which is known as sort function, and sort function can take different kind of parameters, byte array, char array. So like they have actually created a lot of function for the same sort array. So now you can see that like I'm talking about this one because I will be giving the integer array. So what it will return is it will return the sort the specified array into ascending numerical order. And static void basically means it will not return anything. So basically the function is something known as sort. So how we can use this function? So basically what we can do is we first, like if I want to sort the array, what I need to do is I need to write the class name first. Okay, what is the name of the class? Class name is arrays. So I will write arrays dot sort, and inside this what I'm doing, I'm actually giving an integer array. Okay, I'm giving the integer array. So जैसे मैंने यहाँ पे define किया था, so you can see this sort, and I'm using this one sort integer array. Okay, and what it will do, it will take and it will like sort it into, and inside this I will put the numbers which array I want to sort it. Now you can see that here the output is actually coming in 31495. What is the meaning of sorting? Sort का मतलब क्या है? Sort means it will give me the output in ascending order, okay, or descending order. So basically if I just run it, let's see what will be my output. So automatically that sort function will actually sort my array. 1 second. Arrays dot sort. Do I need to import the class? So basically what I need to do is कि sometimes वो default ही basically वो नहीं रहता है. Remember one thing, sometimes what happen guys कि like for the math class in the previous program, like when I was printing math.sqrt, so Java is saying that I'm by default providing those methods. Okay. But sometimes what if you are using any particular kind of function? So in that case, you need to import it. You need to import from that library. Okay. You need to import from the library. So right now, what is the library name? So library name is java.util.arrays. So this is the name of the library. Okay. And now what I need to do is I need to write import if I want to, if I want to use those functions. So I'm using this java.util.arrays. So let's try here. If I copying it and if I run it, let's see whether it will get executed or not. So now you can see that I'm getting my output 13459. And why it was not working? Because it unable to find that unable to find this arrays function. Okay, कहाँ है ये? मेरे को तो पता ही नहीं है. So it is actually giving me that kind of output. So that's why I imported. So import, go to the documentation, and in the top you will find the library name, and you just need to write java.util.arrays. Okay, and what is the meaning of this? It is saying that इसका मतलब क्या है? ये java.util.arrays का मतलब क्या है? It is saying that in the Java folder, inside the util folder, inside Java folder, there is another folder which is known as util. Inside that, there is a class which is defined known as arrays, and inside that we have created all the functions. Okay. So now the advantages of documentation is like now you can explore like a lot of functions inside it. So the first thing is it is like good for reference. Okay, it is a good reference material. Second is like there will be you will find many unfamiliar scenarios in like which can come in your code. So using documentation, you can help like you can get help with that. It might possible that like if any particular function is taking int value but you are getting double. Okay, so you can say that it will help you in problem solving. It will give you your best practices because the code and the everything which is written in the documentation, it is following the best practices because these are written by those developer who actually created this language. The fourth thing is up to date information. Up to date information. At any point, everything basically what will happen, you will find update information. The first update will happen, used to happen in the documentation. The fifth one is for your learning and growth. There are many developer outside there who are actually working in companies, but they don't know how to read the documentation. And every point, whenever they used to get stuck, they try to find YouTube videos and they try to find some blog written on it, and they don't want to because they used to feel that documentation are actually written in a very complicated language, but it's not. And if you get used to it, then it will be very powerful because you are actually accessing a very reliable source. Okay, so that is the first thing. And always remember thing, there is a way to read the documentation. Okay, here you can say that this is actually providing the return type, this is the function name, it is the parameter, and if you just go inside it, then you will find all the details here, and it is actually giving you the all the information in which scenario it will return what, and what is the kind of error which it can throw like in these cases. Because in case of arrays, you can say that it is saying that if your index value passes the array length, then in that case it will give me the array index of bound. Okay, so that is the main thing. Now I want to show you few string functions. मैं आपको बस कुछ string function दिखाना चाहती हूँ now, and then it will be end. So problem 3. I want to show you some string functions. Problem 3. Now, suppose if I'm creating a function, so basically what you need to do is string text equals to hello Java. Okay, string text equals to hello Java. Now here, what I'll be doing is here I will be printing different things. System.out.println. Okay. Now what you need to do is I am writing few functions here. Text dot length. Okay, I'm using this function directly using this text. And the another function is text dot substring. And here I'm writing 7, copying this, and text dot index of index of j, and text dot to upper case, text dot to uppercase. So here I'm using 4 different functions. Okay, so let's do one thing. So here I'm providing you this documentation. Okay, and what you need to do is just go through this and tell me what will be the output of all these. Okay, just go through this documentation and मुझे बताओ उन चारों का आउटपुट क्या होगा. Just try it again. Na? This is actually like why you unable to open it. This is openly available on internet. Check your internet connection there. Just go through it and figure out what are the function, what it will do. Okay, first one is providing the length of the string. The second one. Okay. So let's do one thing. I'll execute this code. And from there, it will be easy to understand. Now, if I come to this point, it is saying that text.length. So it is giving me length. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so it is giving me the length of this string. So if I go to this one and if I find length, so you can see that like it is saying that this length function return the length of the string. The length is equal to the number of Unicode units in the string. Length uses the length of the sequence of represented by this object. So basically it is returning the length. Okay. Now when I'm talking about substring, it is saying that, okay, give me the substring after this 7. So let's see what is the substring means. Substring. Okay. So second. So now you can see that it is saying that it is a begin index. You might not be aware that what is this 7. Okay. You will be only be able to understand that what is this 7 is all about. It is the begin index. It is saying that I will return a string that is a substring of this string, and this will be the begin index. If I come to this part, then it is saying that the substring begins with the character at the specified index and extends to end of the string. वहां से शुरू करेगा और आखिरी तक जाएगा. It will start from that point and it will go till end. So 7, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 is J. And from this to end, it will print my Java. Index of j, it will give me the index value. So this is 7. And now to uppercase, it will convert everything into the uppercase. So guys, you will find every answer from the documentation. And like even if you want to find that key, suppose sometimes when you're writing a code, you don't need to write the complete code for that. You can just use the documentation key. Okay, if there any those developer have created any function for that one or not. Okay, in that case, you don't need to write the code from the scratch. But remember one thing, it's not like in your evaluation or something, you are actually blindly using these functions. You know that like in the previous session, in the function session, I taught you like how to convert a lowercase into a uppercase. Okay, but here the function is actually providing you that facility. You can directly do it, but don't too much dependent on the functions. Okay, otherwise, what happened? Ki, like you can see that like this is actually giving me the length of the string. But sometimes what happened? I don't want the length. Suppose here in this length, it is also considering the spaces. And now if I want that length function, which will count the total characters, but it will not include the spaces. ठीक है, तो उसके लिए आपको अपना अलग से एक फंक्शन बनाना पड़ेगा. You need to create your own function. Okay, in that case, you need to basically create your own function, and which will, what it will do is it will take the string, but it will not consider the spaces. So sometimes it's not like in every case these function will help you, but sometimes you want a modified version of it. Okay, getting it? I think, have you seen that like in people outside who are opening companies, building startups? So what they used to do is like sometimes they know that like there is no outside solution for that particular thing. So they used to create their own version of it. Okay, so this is the same with this thing. So sometimes when you are using a function, and sometimes what will happen, the function will not fulfill your requirement. It needs a little bit of adjustment. Then in that case, you need to create your own ones. Now let's come to the next topic, and that is string builder. Now we will be going to learn about something like two very important things, that is array list and string builder. Array list and string builder. Array list and string builder are the two important, you can say that, kind of a data structure. Okay, kind of a reference type, and which you will be using it. Okay, and like it is very, you can say that it is very useful. You can also use arrays, simple array and simple string. Okay, the general data type which we already used. जैसे आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हो, I'm using this string text, but if I come to this one, here I'm using the general array, but we have the modified version, updated version of it. So this is known as string builder, which is created by the developer. So like let's see how it is helping us. Guys, before moving on, let's have a 1 or 2 minute break, and then like जिसको पानी पीना है वो पानी पी लो, जिसको ट्रेन से उतर के खाना खाना है वो खाना खा लीजिए. ओके, विल मीट यू आफ्टर 2 minutes. So guys, when we learned strings, okay, so I just want to tell you, like you already know that strings are immutable. Strings are immutable. ये एक ऐसा सत्य है जो कोई बदल नहीं सकता. This is the truth which no one can change. Okay, when you have created a string, then you are not allowed to change that. But let's see, I'll write a code for this. Problem 4.java. Now if I'm writing problem 4.java, now suppose if I create a string here, string s1 equals to m. Okay, now here if I print it, system.out.println. So like if I print it s1 equals to ये, so basically what I will do, java problem 4. ठीक है, अभी मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ कि धोखेबाजी क्या होती है. So now like if I'm running this, let's see what will be the output. Now you can see that m is coming. Okay, now if I do one thing, now what I'll do in this S1, I'll add A also. I'll add A also. Now let's see what will be the output. Okay, now let's see MA. Now MA is coming. How it is possible? Because I already said this thing na ki strings are immutable. Strings are immutable. I said this thing na, but now you can see that even if I'm able to update it. So S1 equal to S1 plus S. Okay, if I run it, let's see again whether it is working or not. Like what output it will give me. Okay, so guys, you can see that MAS is coming. Now you can see that string is actually able to update, but I said this thing strings are immutable. तो मैंने ऐसा धोखा क्यों दिया आपको? कितनी बार ये लोग धोखा देंगे? Okay, they are making evaluation tough. They are making our life hell. And then why? And even in the session, they are saying a lie. Okay, then why they are doing these kind of things? Okay, guys, I'll tell you the truth. Okay, the thing which I said to you, like strings are immutable, that is actually correct. I'll prove this thing. Okay, so now I'll take this example only. I'll take this one also only. I'll remove this. Okay, so basically, what happened? Let's see. So guys, what happened is like when I return this thing, when I've written this thing S1 equal to M. Okay. So guys, remember one thing when I'm writing S1 equal to M. So this is something like a string is a reference type. A string is a reference type. So when I'm writing M, so this M is actually getting stored here only. So जो M है, like when this object is actually getting created, so the object is actually getting created here. So here if I'm writing 1A, 1B, 1C, these are the location. And in this location, so what is happening is I'm creating the M. So when I've written this first statement M, so this is actually, and like this is M. And now here my S1 is actually getting created here because this is the type, this is the variable name. And what is the value of this one? The value of this one is 1A. Okay. The value of this one is 1A. So when I was printing this S1, so like you know that like at this point, what happened is when I'm writing this S1 equal to M, so what happened? M is actually created in this heap, now 1A. Now when I'm trying to update something on it, when I'm trying to update things on it, then what is happening is, what it is doing is, in the background, it is actually in the another memory. It is actually taking M and A, and the address of 1A will be get cancelled out, and it is just changing the address. String M is still there. String M is still there in the heap memory. It's just that now S1 is referring to 1B. Okay. Now later what happened? Now later you know that here what I'm doing is I'm adding S also. Now when I'm adding S, so what it will do in the heap memory, it will again create a MAS. And now it will not reference to 1B. Now it will change the reference to 1C. Okay. So the trick is only happening here. But here you can see that in the memory, it is actually keep on creating the new variables. If you just, what you will do, if you just run this code na, after doing this, if you just run this code, अगर आप इस कोड को रन करोगे ना, if you just run this code like so, while one means while true. So basically instead of it I can also write, so this loop will keep on executing, and what it will do, it will keep on creating memories in the whole heap. No, not in this form, like M triple A, M4A, M5A, M6A, M7A, M8A. Then at some point you will get an error. And what kind of error you will get? I think this kind of error, your compiler will show that heap memory is full. Okay, because you know that na, if I'm keep on doing this thing, then what will happen? At some point, the heap memory will get full. Am I right or not? Definitely, na, because you are keep on creating new variables. You are every time you are attaching it. Since strings are immutable, it will not change this M to MA. It will say that I will give you the new space. So this is something like a problem, you can say that. Where is the code? I lost that page. Here of how to increase the size of. Okay, I'm coming to the new page only. So, guys, what will happen is every time, what will happen? Your new memory will get created. Okay. So here, when I was writing MA, so when you are writing MA, okay, MAS. So every time new thing is actually getting created, and if the variable is S, so the first it was pointing to 1A, then 1B, then 1C. And if you keep on executing this code, then at some point this will give you an error. Okay. So now I'm coming back to the previous one. I'm coming back to the previous one. So that is the problem with this thing. That is the problem with this thing. So guys, remember one thing, whenever you use string, so when we are saying that it is immutable, what does that mean? Every time, whenever you are attaching something to that string, it is creating a new memory into the heap. Okay, with the updated string. It is not reusing the previous one. It is not reusing the previous string. So suppose if I am keep on doing this, so what will happen? At some point, the heap memory will get full. Now, the another thing is there is something of known as garbage collector. There is something known as garbage collector. Okay. It is a special robot. It is a special robot which actually runs behind the Java. So what it will do is at some point it will like kuch देर में basically it start executing, it start running in this heap, and it will check that okay, is there any reference, is there any m or any string or anything, any object which is here but it is not actually using in the stack. It if garbage able collector able to collect all those things, then what it will do, it will delete all those part. So that's why when you are running Java, Java is so smart that in the background, your memories automatically get cleaned up by the garbage collector. Because garbage collector is running and checking that, okay, is there anything which is actually here, but we are not using here? So you can see that one C is actually we are using here. So it will not clean up this part, but it will clean up this part. It will delete all those references because that are useless. Okay, because we need someone now which can do those kind of a thing. So you can, and from your side also you can trigger garbage collector, but that you will learn in advanced Java later in future. Okay, so that is the main part. This is something known as like this is the problem with the string actually. So this is how the garbage collector used to work. But now I want to tell you that that is the biggest problem with the string, that it is immutable. Now we have another library which is known as string builder. We have another library which is known as string builder. So string builder is something like it is actually comes under collection framework. So there is something like a library, collection library. There is one library created by the developers. So these are those developers which you know that like there are a lot of competitive programmers outside. Okay, if I'm talking about those platforms like Code Forces, Code Chef, and all these, so those developers, the Java developer, they use this library. So this is known as collection library. In collection library, they created a very good set of, you can say that, data structures like string builders, array list, hash maps, like lot of. And if you are using that library, so in that library, what will happen is it is actually provide a lot of functionalities. So I'll explain you. So first, let's deep dive into string builder. So string builder, the one very good thing with string builder is it is mutable. You can change it. Okay. It is a mutable sequence of characters. It contains mutable sequence of characters. So the best thing about the string builder is the thing which is not allowed in string, but that is allowed in string builder. Okay. So basically, if I just go into the documentation, let's see what string builder is actually providing me. String builder. So if I go into the string builder class, so you can see that a mutable sequence of characters. It is a mutable sequence of characters which actually it's providing me. Now, if you want to create the string builder, so it is providing me four constructors. So you can see that it is providing me four constructors. The one constructor is a default one. It will give you the initial capacity of 16 characters. Okay. And the string builder is second constructor is whatever character like length you will put here, whatever the character capacity you will put here. Suppose you are saying that I want the string builder of 100 size. So in that one, you can put like as many string character, like till 100 size. Now, string builder, the fourth kind of a string builder is when you are giving the string also. So it will create a string, like string object of string builder for you automatically. Okay, now there are also another functions here. So you can see that there are some functions which is known as append. There are some function here, delete char. Okay, so there are actually a lot of functions here which you can use. So one of the function is length. Using length, you can find the length of the character. So there is also another one which is known as capacity. Okay, it will help you to find the what is the current capacity of that basically that object which it can store. Okay, and we have also one few function which is known as append. Append used to insert the element into the string object. So let's try to understand through this like using a code, and from that like you will be able to understand it better. So let's see problem 5.java and let's create a string builder. Guys, everyone understood the problem with the string? Because then only you will appreciate the string builder. Okay, like everyone getting that thing? Like what is the problem with the strings? Okay, nice. 1 second. So I want to explain you a very beautiful concept of string builder. I want to explain you the very beautiful concept of string builder is that string builder actually provide me the like provide us the capability of dynamic sizing, capability of dynamic sizing. Okay. Suppose when you are creating the when you are creating the string with the default string builder with this capacity. So when you are creating a default, suppose when you are creating a string from the string builder, then the default capacity which it provides is 16 characters. So I'll explain you. So suppose what happened is like suppose you are storing something. Okay, suppose you created the string builder object, and now the string object builder which you created is it has address as 818596. Okay, तो अभी मैं इसको हटा देता हूँ. Let's do one thing. So right now the first capacity of string builder is it can store 16 characters. Okay, when you are creating it just by default without giving any capacity, so default capacity which string builder provides you is 16 characters. Now, at this point, your length of the string is 0 because there is no characters we have put it. But what is the capacity? Capacity here is 16. Now, suppose you started like adding the elements here. You started adding the elements here. So you added M, A, S, A, I. Now, here the capacity is still is 16 characters. Now, if I right now you can see that if I just ask that what is the length, so length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So length is 5, and what is the capacity? Capacity is 16. Now, after that, what I'll do is I will add more things to it. I will add M, A, S, A, I, school, and here you can see that Bangalore. Now here what I did is I actually added more things. So now if I just calculate how many, so what will happen here is, what will happen here is, I think the capacity used to get doubled. Okay, so let's see that how many characters it is taking. It is taking, what is the length? Let's see what is the length here. So if you just check that, what is the length here? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So if I'm saying that 23. But now what will be the capacity? Because previous capacity was 16. So at this point, when you are inserting more to it, so what it will do is automatically it will increase its capacity to double. 16 into 2, that will be 32. So that will be 32 characters. So that is the property of like your string builder. It is doing the dynamic sizing. Whenever you are inserting more than its capacity, automatically it increase its size. ठीक है, ये वही कहानी की तरह है, you know that like even like in a story there was like one god who went to some place to eat to for the dinner, and like in a king's house, and in king's palace, and there he actually arranged everything for him, like all kinds of food, and he was having that kind of ego that okay, god has come to my place and I'm giving food to him. And now what happened when god started eating things, so it's something like he ate everything. So whatever the food was coming, he actually he was increasing his capacity. So that was something like a kind of a story. Okay, so the main thing here is ki you can see the way you are inserting few things here, automatically it is increasing the capacity. So that is known as dynamic sizing. So that is the beauty of string builder. Okay, that's why these developers are actually created this. So you don't need to worry about okay, yaar, matlab, because when you are doing competitive coding and all, so at that point you don't need to take care of all those kind of things. Okay, it's something like you only need to focus on problem solving. You don't need to focus on कि okay string कैसे हो रहा है, why I'm able to use that data structure and all this thing. Okay, so if I come to this place and if I come to problem 5, I'm writing something. Suppose I'm writing problem 5, and here I'm creating the string. Here I'm creating the string builder. मतलब एक string का object builder का object I'll create it. So I'm writing string builder string builder, and I'm creating the object of it. I'm writing new string builder, and here you can see that I'm not giving anything. So this is my constructor. This is my constructor. So you can see that I'm using this one. If you want to use this one, if you want to use this one, it's totally up to you. Automatically, the automatic capacity which it will decide is 16 for you. Now, if you want to add something to it, now let's see what will be the length of this one. If I am saying that, what is the length of this one? S1 dot length. Okay. So what will be the length for this one? So you already know this. If I execute it, Java problem 5 dot Java. If I execute it, let's see what will be the output. Okay. Okay. Right now it is, I am able to access it. Why? Because we need to import from the library. So let's go there and import the java.lang.string builder. So I'll copy this. Okay. So what will happen? It will basically import this thing java.lang.string builder. And now what will happen? Now I will be able to access it. It is saying s1 dot length is not working. Sorry. I need to put the function sign because I forget to put it. Let's do one thing. I'm executing it again. Now you can see that length is coming 0. Now if I execute, if I put something here is putting capacity. Let's see what will be the capacity here. Now you can see that capacity is still 16. Now what I'll do is I will insert something to this string. So if you want to insert, so there we have a function which is known as append. Okay, in the append, I am putting Masai to it. So if I am putting Masai to it, then what I'll do is I will again calculate the string length and capacity. So here you can see that I'm again calculating it. After that, I will again put Bangalore. Okay, I'm again putting it. I'll again put it Bangalore. Bangalore. And in this one, what will happen since I'm putting this? So again, we can check that what will happen. So instead, I will put here Masai School. Okay, Masai School, Bangalore, and again we'll printing the capacity. So let's see what will be the output. So you can see that 0, 16, 5, 16, 11, 16. But when the capacity increase, so it goes to 20 to 34. I think वो twice करके it actually used to add 2, something like that. Because I said it was 32, but I think it also add plus 2. At that time I was confused, like what was the capacity? But I think capacity is multiplying by 2 plus 2, like there was some formula. Okay, so understood it. So the formula is something like this. Current capacity, whatever the current capacity will be, current capacity into 2 or then add 2. So this will be the formula every time how it is actually increasing the capacity, like using this one. Now you can see that like we have something like this and we are getting it. Now we have also other functions with that. So if suppose if I want to add a character to it, so suppose if I'm saying that s1 dot set char at, I want to set the char at which position. So first there are two parameters. I need to give the position and which character I want to add. So I'll add X. Okay. Then if I print this thing system.out.println, let's see what will be the output. What will be the output? Now if I execute it, let's see what will be the output. Now you can see that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and sixth position, it actually added X. In the sixth position, it actually added X. So this is the one of the function. Now the other function which we have is if I want to delete something. So if I want to s1 dot delete, okay, if you want to delete something, so if I just directly go to here and I will just find D. Just go to D. So this is delete. And here it is asking for two parameters, start and end. From where to where do you want to delete it? Okay, so I'm saying that I want to delete it from 5 to 12. 5 to 12. Let's see what will happen. And if I again print it, so it will delete the. So instead of using string, now you can start using string builder also. Okay, so that will be helpful for you. So now you can see that like it is saying that, and it actually deleted from 5 to 12. You can count it, okay, from that index to that one. And also we have something known as s1 dot reverse. हमारे पे एक और function होता है जिसको हम कहते हैं s1 dot reverse. What it will do is it will automatically reverse the string for you. So if I am just writing this and if I clear it, let's see what will happen. It is actually like reversing that thing for you. Okay, so guys, this is how it is actually working. You can try out more on it. Okay, and now you can use more of it. Okay, because this is better than string. Now let's come to the next part, which is known as array list. Array list. ठीक है, जैसा हमारा string builder है वैसे ही हमारे पे है, we have something known as array. अब now you already know that, like suppose if Generally we use array. Okay, so what is the problem with this array? So let's see few problems with the array. What are the problems with the array? पहले दिक्कतें देखते हैं. Okay, so the first problem with is problem one is underutilization. Problem one is underutilization. Underutilization. So suppose imagine that like I want to store age of 5 students. मुझे 5 students की basically age store करनी है. And now what happened? I created this array, int array equals to new int, and now this is the thing which I've done. So int array equal to new int 5. Now what happened, like you already know that, like suppose imagine that like only I want to store 5 students age. Now imagine that only 3 students registered. Only 3 students registered, done the registration. Now is only 3 students done the registration. Now what will happen? Like the two location will get wasted. Two location will get wasted. दो location waste हो जाएगी हमारे पास. Okay, so because 3 students are registering and like there are only 2 locations are actually left. So that is the main problem. So first one is in underutilization. If I'm actually like if I'm the simple situation is very similar कि आपकी शादी हो रही है and you decided that okay there will be 200 plates लगेंगी. मेहमान 100 आए, बाकी 100 ने धोखा दे दिया, हो गया ना waste. So that is the main thing which you need to understand, like with the general array. Situation 2. Okay, insufficient capacity. So that is the second problem. Okay, imagine that I declared that मैंने ये imagine करा कि like I want like 5 students, I want the registration of 5 students, but what happened? 10 students आ गए, 10 students joined. If 10 students join, then you know that like the space which I've decided is not like I won't be able to do it. So guys, in this case, like if there are, you can see that like if I have created the array for 5 people only and 10 students joined, then in that case, the problem here is कि like this space will not be sufficient for me. The same situation is 200 लोगों का खाना रखा था, 300 आ गए. ओके, अब सिचुएशन क्या है, आप कैसे मुंह दिखाओगे बारात को? So that is the main problem here, like when I'm talking about insufficient capacity. So the main problem with array is it's something like fixed size. If I conclude it in one statement, so the main problem here is fixed size. Now we have something for the solution. We have something known as array list. Okay, जैसे हमारे पे for string we were having string builder. Similarly, we have array list like in place of array, which you can directly use. So this is something like an array list also follow the dynamic array. We used to call it dynamic array because it has the property of like dynamic sizing. Okay, but who are like in the previous statement, when I was talking about this thing, at that point I was saying that like string is dynamically increasing the size, but who is responsible for doing all this thing? Okay, जैसे आपकी शादी में मैनेज करने के लिए चाचा जी होते हैं ना, like here in Java, like if I'm saying that who is actually responsible for doing this dynamic sizing, so it is JVM. It is Java virtual machine. Don't worry, we'll talk about it sometime later, what is JVM and all. But right now there is something known as Java virtual machine which manage everything, okay, whatever is happening in your Java environment. And this is something like it is actually done by JVM. The same question I want to ask you is, in case of string, I told you this thing, that there is something known as garbage collector. Who triggered the garbage collector? It's the JVM. JVM has the intelligence, and what it is doing is it is triggering the garbage collector, okay, doing the dynamic sizing and all. Now let's see the array list. अब array list को देखते हैं. Let's see the array list. So you can see that like we have something known as array list here. These are a lot of the function which actually it provides. If you want to add some elements, so you need to do in this way. There are functions and a lot of functions are actually here. Okay, size, And also we have something known as add last index of remove. If you want to remove it, you need to give the index, and using that you can directly remove the element. So guys, like we have a lot of functions here which we can use it. Now let's see, like if we want to see that, like how array list look like. मतलब if we want to see in code, तो मैं कोड में देखना चाहता हूँ problem6.java. If I write problem6 and if I remove everything, let's see what will happen. If I come to this place, and now let's see how many. So it is actually providing me three kinds of constructor. Construct an empty list with an initial capacity of 10. So basically when you are directly using array list without giving any constructor value, automatically it will create the capacity of 10. And when you will start increasing the value, it will keep on based upon the requirement, it will dynamically increase the size of it. Now let's, if I'm saying that how to create the array list. Okay. So guys, array list, you need to write in this way. So this, the syntax is little bit different. Okay. So मैं यहाँ पे आपको पहले दिखा देता हूँ what is the syntax for this. The syntax for this is whenever you are writing it, it is like in this format. So first you need to write array. First you need to write array and then list, and then you need to provide this sign. Then you need to provide this, put this sign, and then you can create your object like a1 and equal to, and I then you can write new array list, and again you need to put this sign and then constructor sign. Guys, this is the sign where you need to define that you are creating the array list of which type. In strings, we don't need to define that because string are always of characters. String का definition ही characters का वो होता है, collection of characters. But in string, we don't need to define the type. But here, you need to define the type of the string. Okay. So suppose whether you want to create the array of integers, array of characters, array of what. So here you need to define. But remember one thing, you cannot write here int. Okay. Tell me, int is a primitive type or reference type? Int is a primitive type or reference type? Int is a primitive type. Okay, right. Int is a primitive type. Basically, the array list used to say that I will not keep here primitive type. You can only give me any reference type, like the which is having a class and object kind of a thing. So for that, we have something known as wrapper classes. Wrapper classes का चीज मुझे concept मुझे आपको आज ही पढ़ाना था, but don't worry, we'll cover it later. No problem. Okay. So wrapper classes are something like this. Whenever you want to like see, like suppose integer we used to define in this way. And when I'm writing integer x, so x integer is the class and we are actually creating the object of it. So suppose if you want to create the object, or like if you want to create the array of integers, then in that case, you need to write the integer here. So if you want to see all the wrapper classes, so basically what you can do is, here I'm writing wrapper. So guys, we have different wrapper classes, and it is actually giving me of only strings. One second. So we have like, this is the one class for integer. Okay. Like what is the meaning of wrapper classes? Something like when I'm talking about those are the primitive type, but these are the types which is created by the developers. Like they have created this thing, and using the wrapper class, if you're creating the integer object, then you can access all these functions. So these are the functions which is provided by this, but don't worry, we'll see it later or tomorrow. Okay, how we can use and how we can create the wrapper classes. But right now you just need to imagine that we have like multiple types of wrapper classes. So one is integer, one is like, you can say that like character, short, like for every category, we have something like a wrapper classes. Okay, so here I want to create the array of integers. That's why I'm putting the integer here. So this is the name of the class. I need to put it. Through this, I'm actually telling Java that I want to create an array of integers. Okay, and you cannot put here primitive type. आप यहाँ पे int small int नहीं लिख सकते. This is not allowed because this is a primitive type. Okay, this is not from the class type. It is not like actually ये class के अंदर नहीं आता है. So here I will be writing integer. So this is how we can create the array list. So let's see. Up now, like in the future, whenever you are creating an array, whenever when you are writing code on array, on your OJ, I would recommend that like please use array list only because it is providing you a lot of functions. Okay, so for doing your operation, integer a1, and here I'm writing array list, new array list. I will write this. So basically, this is the thing which I have written here. Now, if I just print the function system.out.println, let's see. And there is one function which is known as is empty. If I come here, now let's see. So you can see that there is a function which will return true if the list is not containing any elements. So a1 dot is empty. So clear Java problem 6 dot Java. If I run it, let's see what will be the output. I need to import this thing. I need to import the library. Like if you want to import all the libraries, then you don't need to write. You can write java.util.star, I think. क्या था java.util.star? Guys, क्या था? Like those who know. If I want to import all the libraries, यही है क्या? Okay. Like in that case, what I can do is I'll just come here. Okay, मैं बस इसको कॉपी कर लेता हूँ. java.util.array list. java.util.array list, and now if I run it, let's see what will happen. Guys, don't worry. Tomorrow I'll tell you one library. अगर आप वो library डालो, सारे सब like you will get the access for all of the data structure. Okay, then you don't need to change it every time. So here you can see that it is returning true. Okay, why true? Because it is not containing anything inside it. Now after that, I'm printing something which is known as size. So if I write here a1 dot size, a1 dot size. Okay, so let's see what will be the size. Now the size is 0. It is saying that size is 0. Now if I want to add few things into this element, so there is function here. I need to write a1, and then I will write a1 dot add 10 and not 25. Okay, and let's see what will be the output. What will be the output? Now you can see that when I'm directly printing it, it is actually directly giving me the output 1025. Okay, it is directly giving me the output 1025. So because 10 and 25 are inserted here, but you can also insert multiple values at the single time. So suppose if I'm saying 1 comma 45, then you can also add, in a single go, you can add multiple values to it. Not sorry. इसमें देखना पड़ेगा actually. Add में like okay, it is actually telling me that in which index you want to add the elements. In which index insert the specified index at the specified position. So when I'm saying 1 comma 45, so it will add 1 to the 45th 45 to the first position. So this is, you can see that this is the first index where it actually inserted the value. Okay, now here I can again check the size with that. And go, guys, the another thing is, if you want to access the particular position, particular element, then you cannot access it using this. आप ऐसे करके access नहीं कर पाओगे. Like generally how you used to access in the other arrays, the previous array which you have learned. Okay, the basic one. In this one, it will give you an error that if, okay, it will give you an error that you cannot access it using this. So if you want to access an element, then you need to write a1 dot get, and then you need to put the index. So you need to write get and index. Suppose if I want the value of 0, so if I run it, let's see, it will give you the element. Okay, now if you want to set the element, if you want to set any element at some position, so we have something known as set. So what it will do is, if you want to update your array, so generally हम क्या करते थे, अगर हम I want to update my array, so I used to write this thing like in the previous array, but this is not allowed in this case. Okay, if you want to set something, then in that case you need to write a1 dot set, and then a1 dot set, you want to update the first position element with the 55. Then if I run it, let's see what will be the output. So here using set, I'm updating the index. I'm updating the value at particular index. So you can see that 45 is actually replaced with the 55. So previously when I was using add, so this was like at what index you want to insert the element. It will not delete, it will not replace anything, but this will replace that particular point. Now we have another function which is known as like clear, a1 dot clear. So when you are using a1 dot clear, what it will do is, it will like, you can say that delete all the elements. It will delete all the elements. Now there will be no elements present in this array. So you can see that now your elements will get clear. So for now, I'm commenting this part so that I can show you the other few functions. The other few function is like, suppose if I want to remove, some element, if I want to remove the first position element. So in that case, let's see what will happen. So it is the index, it used to take the index. So here you can see that remove, just go to, like, it is an alphabetically sorted order. Okay, so if I can also give index. So you can see that it actually removed the 55 from here. Now, if I print this thing, system.out.println a1.empty. So it is a function which will return a Boolean value. I think it's not empty, it's is empty. Okay. So if I run it, so here you can see that it is actually returning me false because it is not empty. The array is not empty. Now the last thing is, you can also run a loop, the enhanced loop. And guys, remember one thing, when you are running the enhanced loop, then you need to create the wrapper class wala data type. So integer, and I am writing x, comma, and then you need to give me the array list. And here I will print system.out.println, and then you can print x. Okay, so guys, here I'm getting the output. Like there are two elements here, 10, 25. Okay, someone is asking, while printing array, why are we getting the values instead of address? उसने कहा कि the question is when I'm printing this thing, so you can see that like I'm actually getting the whole the values. So you can say that like this is the thing which actually this is the facility which I'm actually getting from this one, like from the collection library only. Okay, so what is happening, like if I take an example of the previous array, at that point if I directly print this a1, in that case I was getting the address. But in this collection one array list, when I'm printing this a1, then I'm getting an array. Okay, it is because what is happening, the function, it's something like when I'm trying to print this a1, so it is actually I think defined in the collection library only. It will like not give me the address, it will actually open it and then it will provide me the output. So yeah, basically kind of a, you can say that I think it is already defined in the collections one. Okay, because collection library created, the main reason why collection library created to ease our life. Okay, so that when we are actually solving any problem, then we have as much function we want. मतलब बेसिकली रिक्वायर्ड मुझे ये लगता है कि अगर कॉमन सेंस है, अगर मैं बेसिकली if I'm working on making this collection library. No, you don't need to. Okay, the another question was, do we need to remember all these functions? No. Actually, when you will be solving some problems like on OJ and later in unit 2, unit 3, then at some point you will be requiring few of the functions here मतलब while doing things. And what will happen with practice, आपको automatically you will remember like those one. Even I would say one thing is, even like whenever I used to code, sometimes I also not remember, like I also know like all the function. It's something like I have the knowledge of basic one, like what is add, what is remove, what is set, like the basic one, how you can add element, how you can remove element, how you can update, and how like only this one. And if I want to check that, okay, whether any particular kind of function exists or not, then in that case, I used to check here in the documentation, okay, whether that exists or not. If it doesn't exist, that's fine. Then in that case, I'll create my own one. Okay. So you just need to remember only the basic one. Yeah. Another question was, sir, all these questions will change the original array? Yes, it will change the original array. How much functions a beginner needs to know? You only needs to know only the basic one, how to insert the element, how to get the element, how to update that, and how to delete it, and how to run a loop on it. Just the basic one. And later, whatever the function will come, वो आप basically with practice you will able to remember. Can we use documentation during evaluation? ठीक है, मतलब will tell you like, but अभी इस week just keep on using the documentation, because whatever question you are solving, use these arrays only. Use these arrays and strings. Guys, in tomorrow's session, I'll start with the basically wrapper class only. Okay, so that you will get comfortable to it. Okay, right now you can just explore on internet, like there are multiple wrapper classes. If you are creating an array of integer, array of character, array of strings, whatever you want, then you just need to put that data type here. You cannot put the small int. Okay, just one thing you need to remember. And जो मैंने string builder में बताया, that you need to use in the same. Okay, ठीक है. Thank you guys. I hope I told you in the beginning of the session is that I will try to reveal most of the fundamental concept which I didn't discuss in the earlier session. Why? Because at that time you are actually in the learning phase. And if I explained all these things, na, reference type and all these things in the beginning, then you will get confused. That's why like these concepts are getting introduced today, like in this session in build function. And I hope you understood a lot of things, how things are working behind the scenes. Don't worry, like अगर एक बारी में समझ नहीं आया, like I told you, like if you didn't remember any particular part, then you can go and rewatch it. Okay, you will get like you will understood that thing. And प्रोग्रामिंग इज समथिंग जो अभी से लेके आप अपनी पूरी जिंदगी देखोगे. सो कोई बात नहीं, बहुत टाइम है. ओके, so you will get used to it. And later like one stage will come, it's something like where you don't need to remember all these things. The problem will come and you will just start writing the code, and you will see that okay, you are just working on the problems only. You will not be thinking about code and loops and everything. ओके, ठीक है, थैंक यू एवरीवन, टेक केयर, बाय।